It's time for Reason.
If you have a $200, $300, $400 cell phone bill every month for you and the family, then you have a problem because we're paying you what the market actually sets for you and for your job skills. We're paying market value for you, and you're not going to manipulate the market on what the value of your job is just because you can't figure out your own personal budget. That's on you. That's not on me. We need to remember that we need to take on personal responsibility.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
Then I'll get on my knees and pray. We don't get fooled again. Don't get fooled again.
That's what I'm talking about. Welcome into the Voice of Reason. Good Thursday morning, broadcasting live out of the heart of the nation here in Wichita, Kansas on the Big Talker, 1480 on the AM side, 102.5 on the FM side, KQAM, simulcasting on TV, KGPT TV, channel 2610 right now for the live broadcast. A replay of it tonight on KGPT TV, channel 2610 from 6 to 9 tonight. Welcome in. It's great to have you along today on a Thursday. 316-721-8255, 316-721-TALK. Boy, oh boy, we had some fun storms roll through again last night. That was kind of nice. We need the moisture, not necessarily the big booming and the crazy thunder and the potential tornadoes and all that jazz, but we could really use some moisture. I mean, that's always nice, right? I can kind of dig it. 8 minutes past the hour. Welcome in. 316-721-8255. We got a lot to get to today. There is some fun news. I think we're going to have a little fun today. I usually try and, lighten up the mood just a little bit. Politics can be very frustrating at times, and we don't want you to be frustrated. We don't want you to go to work angry, especially first thing in the morning. I do want you, however, to think about things and ponder things and think very deeply very early in the morning. So that's what we try to do to have a little fun. And I know that you are sick and tired and sick of listening about Roseanne Barr and the tweets and ABC's network and the show Roseanne and all that jazz. Although I do want to throw in one more thing to think about when it comes to that tweet. And then we'll move on, and we don't have to talk about it anymore if you don't want to. But I do want to throw something else out there, because there's some new information that's come to light that I find quite entertaining. And I find the progressives, they still do not know what to do sometimes. And if you know anything about me, one of the most enjoyable aspects of my life, one of the most entertaining values of my life, is to be able to watch progressives squirm with their ideology, where they don't quite know what position to take because their heart's telling them to go someplace, their mind is telling them to go someplace else, and apparently the rest of their body's telling them to go somewhere else. And they just don't know sometimes how to actually respond to an issue appropriately compared to what common sense tells you to do and what your ideology tells you to do. Because in the progressive world, ideology does not fall in line with realism and with common sense and reality in any way, shape, or form. So it's very difficult sometimes. And then when you do try and follow your ideology, then you realize that there's hypocrisies and there's double standards and there's the double-edged sword, and they really just don't know what direction to go. So they kind of sit back and they kind of throw some things out there, and then whichever one gains traction, and the conservatives, and not even conservatives, but just commonsensical reality people, actually just sit back and say, that's really stupid. Then they go to the next one. And then once they finally find one where no one can kind of argue with it because we've kind of given up on their ridiculousness, then they kind of jump on board with it and they embrace it wholeheartedly. So the progressives, when it comes to Roseanne, of course, they've called her the racist. They've canceled her show. And they've tried to blow it up to where it's not even just about racism, but it's about the Donald Trump nation of racism, because she's, of course, a Donald Trump supporter. So therefore, all people who support Donald Trump are racist, including Roseanne Barr. So when she makes a racist comment, then all of a sudden, all Donald Trump supporters and Donald Trump himself and the entire nation is now full of racists, right? That's what we've been told. That's what we've been told. Now, if you know anything about Roseanne Barr, of course, she's not racist. Maybe she made a tweet that was with a racist connotation to it. Maybe it was interpreted in a racist mentality, but she is not racist, and she's even tried to say so. I don't know if you go on her Twitter account. I never go on, again, Twitter very much unless there's actually a reason to do so. And when things like this start up, I like to go and just watch it. Because what's there for her to lose if she's already lost her show? Why would she cancel her Twitter account? That's a good question, right? I mean, if she already lost the show, then what's the point of actually canceling the Twitter so she can clean herself and cleanse herself from the Twitter account and from the absurd things she could potentially say on Twitter, right? Not the case, though, because she came back on. And as of 15 hours ago, can you help me with more followers here? The more I have, the more my words will have weight. I am a fighter for fairness in all aspects of U.S. life. I am tired of being smeared over a stupid mistake, erasing 30 years of activism. That was one comment that she made. 30 years of activism. I've been fighting for good things my whole life. I make one stupid mistake, and now everything's crashing down. It's one of those where, you break up with the boyfriend or the girlfriend, and now that the breakup's official, you're not trying to hang on to it. You're not trying to salvage it, and you're trying to play nice. Now that it's broken up, now you're going on the vengeance kind of side, right? Now you do the retaliation. Now you do the smear campaign against your opponent, against your ex-boyfriend or ex-girlfriend on social media so everybody can see how much of a terrible person they are. That's kind of where she's at right now when it comes to her tweets. Here's another one that was directly afterwards. I'm not a racist. I never was and I never will be. One stupid joke in a lifetime of fighting for civil rights for all minorities against networks, studios at the expense of my nervous system, family, wealth will never be taken from me. She goes off. And then she's, of course, sharing different things and sharing different stories and to talking about Drudge and talking about a certain commentators and articles written about her. And she's kind of go on this whole tirade. And then, of course, people are accusing her of using the Ambien as an excuse on why she made these comments. And she, of course, tweeted back out and said, no, these are my mistakes. I'm not blaming the Ambien. I was on Ambien at the time when I did the tweet in the middle of the night, but I'm taking full responsibility of this, yada, yada, yada. But here's the kicker. And here's why I wanted to bring this up one more time. Is because now the progressives, if you remember what the progressive ideology is really all about, when it comes to mental health issues. And really, according to them, there are no mental health issues. Remember that. There are no mental health issues. If you murder somebody because you're completely loony and you are a psychopath and you don't actually have, emotions running through your mind because you don't have that chemical in your brain, then you're not mentally unstable. You just need it rehabilitated, right? If you question your gender because your brain does not correlate with what biology God gave you, if you just look down and understand what that actually is, then you're not mentally ill. You need to adapt your body to what your brain actually says. If you believe that you're a cat, and I played the video before and you've seen these things where people truly honestly feel that they're a dog or that they're a cat. If you feel that you are something other than that, if you want to marry your toaster, because that's true love right there, and don't tell me what I can and cannot love. If you try to defend pedophilia, which we've seen articles try to do so on the progressive side of the aisle, because there's no mental instability there. That's just love, and that's what it is, and that's what they got connected to emotionally, and therefore you cannot take that away. They never believe that there's any mental instability. If you have depression, if you're an extremely depressed person, then it's probably because you live in a society that does not grant you the same rights as everybody else, and you're probably a victim of society instead of actually just, helping you with your depression. The progressives will never, ever, ever, ever admit that there is actually mental health issues. And they always defend all actions. So my question is now, why are the progressives not giving Roseanne a bit of a leniency and giving her just a little bit of understanding here because of a mental health issue? Because she was diagnosed, I don't know if you're aware of this or not, she was diagnosed back in 1994 with multiple personality disorder. And she has 7 different multiple personalities. 7 different personalities. According to ABC News, loudmouth comedian Roseanne, which, convenient, right? ABC News with the ABC networks. Loudmouth comedian Roseanne has a lot of different personas, waitress, stand-up comic, talk show host, and actress. But that's not what she means when she says she's dealing with multiple personalities. Roseanne, who first told the world that she had multiple personality disorder back in 1994, says it's not easy dealing with switching between somebody and nobody. Those are just 2 of the names a former sitcom queen has given to her personalities, which she says total 7 in all. The rest she calls Baby, Cindy, Susan, Joey, and Heather. In an interview in the August issue, Esquire magazine, Roseanne says that after 10 years of hard work, she's managed to integrate the different personalities. The 48-year-old celebrity struggles to contain the condition that she said has afflicted her since she was a child. I haven't had any blackouts for quite a while. I used to have them minute by minute. Multiple personalities, a mental disorder with multiple personalities. Could that explain maybe the tweet that she made in the middle of the night, hyped up on Ambien? It's a good possibility. It's a very good possibility. Now, again, I'm not defending her comments. I'm not defending what she said. I'm not justifying why she said it and saying that it was okay to say. It's not, and she got punished for it, and that's the way the system works, and all the power to it. I'm not defending it in any way, shape, or form, but as the heart-filled, lenient, tolerant, open-minded, lovey-dovey progressive who defends any type of mental disorder with the fact that it's not really a mental disorder because the brain could never possibly be sick. It's just the fact that we just have to accept them for who they are and what they are when they have a mental difference like that. You would think that they would have a little bit of leniency there and say, oh, you know what, she's on, which Ambien, by the way, came out and made their stupid comment of, oh, Ambien doesn't create racism. No, it does not. But she was hyped up on the Ambien and possibly having one of her 7 different personalities, according to the multiple personality disorder that she admitted to. It's not like something that she just admitted to on right of a sudden now and tried to make an excuse of it and say, oh, I got multiple personalities. Sorry, I don't know where that came from. It's not like that. She announces back in 1994, which means you would think that they would say, oh, you know what, she had a little bit of a mental issue and, it's not right. But we feel for her. We feel bad for her. She's a victim of struggling with this issue. But she's not a victim because she doesn't play the victim. So the progressives don't see her as a victim. Why? Because she's a Donald Trump supporter. And it really comes down to that. Now, if you say that you're confused about your gender and that one day you feel like a man, one day you feel like a woman, one day you feel like an alien spacecraft, then that is okay because that's the changes that you go through in your body, and we have to defend that. And no matter how crazy it may sound, no matter how wacko it may be, no matter how dangerous it may be for you and your body and your health or those family members surrounding you trying to help take care of you, we have to accept it. We just have to go along with it, and we have to embrace them and take care of them and support them through their struggles that they have as an individual. You have 7 different multiple personalities, and one of them may make a racist comment on Twitter because she's hyped up on a drug trying to fight that, and she's struggling with that, but you're a Donald Trump supporter. No excuse. You are a racist. End of story. Done. We're going to cancel you and destroy your life. It's really interesting to follow, isn't it? I mean, we do have, as we mentioned yesterday, just the basic double standard that we have, but it's really comical to watch them squirm because in any other situation, the progressives would be embracing and defending her because she has the 7 different personalities, and why we're supporting the pharmaceutical company who's trying to help her fight that 7 different personalities, and why we can't just embrace it and just let her be who she needs to be, because we would do that in any other situation in today's times. 316-721-8255. Your thoughts on the 7 different personalities. Do you think that had something to do with it? And would the progressives in any other situation with someone coming out and claiming this, maybe if it would turn the other way and they would have gone after, I don't know, let's say they were a Barack Obama supporter and they would have called Donald Trump a Cheeto, and we called for them to resign and step out of a sitcom show or to step out of something because we don't support them anymore, and they say, oh, you know what, I got 7 different personalities, I have a mental disorder, and then the progressives would have come out and said, yeah, you know what, it's a mental disorder. If you trying to attack them, then you are attacking the mentally disabled. You are attacking somebody that is a victim. How dare you do that? They need love and embracement. But we're not seeing that today because, of course, she's a Donald Trump supporter. 20 minutes past the hour. That's all that I really want to talk about when it comes to Roseanne, because I know that you're probably sick and tired of hearing about Roseanne, but I do find that interesting. I do find that quite comical, and I do like to sit back and watch the progressives squirm, especially when every single time they come out and try and make a claim about something, they're wrong, and they have no idea what they're talking about, and they're usually naive and ignorant to common sense and reality. And this is another example of it, even from a story reported from ABC, which is the same network that actually cut out Roseanne. 316-721-8255. Let's take a break. When we come back, we got a lot to get to today. A lot of news happening here in the state of Kansas when it comes to economic growth, plus an example, which sometimes we need to go back to the basics, an example of what it takes to run a small business and some of the children that try to learn about the value of a dollar, trying to learn about the value of a day's hard work, and when the government comes in to swoop up and destroy that in one fell swoop. So we'll talk about all that and more today. This is The Voice of Reason on a Thursday, baby, the pre-Friday celebration.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
27 minutes past the hour. Welcome back into The Voice of Reason. What's happening? It is a Thursday, the pre-Friday celebration rolling right along. We got a lot to get to today. It's going to be a lot of fun. Plus, we got some events coming up this weekend you're not going to want to miss. I'll tell you about that coming up in just a minute. 316-721-8255. Let's go to the phones here this morning, shall we? Good morning. What's your name?
Yes, this is Lee.
Hey, good morning, sir. How are you?
Pretty good. I met you last Saturday there at Mel Hamilton.
Absolutely. Great to hear from you again. How you doing?
Oh, we're doing better.
Hey, good.
Hey,
good to hear.
I know you're probably not the right department to talk to, but who's ever doing the commercials on the Joel Baggs show for the station is getting the timing all wrong. They're cutting in like last night. It was at 13 after. And they had him on, and then come back into Bags, and he went for maybe a minute and a half, 2 minutes, and went to the official break.
The official, that's interesting. I'll have to take a look at that. I mean, I'm glad you do mention it because I, being the program director, I do get to take a listen to that and be able to monitor that. So I appreciate you letting me know on there, and I will definitely take a gander at that and see because we don't want anything like that happening. By the way, if you do get a chance, do listen to Joe Pags in the afternoon. Absolutely fantastic. He is a character and a half and a lot of fun to listen to. We got to get him back on the show. It's been a while since we've actually had him on the program to talk a little bit. So we'll get him back on. But thank you for the update, and we will take a look at that very much. So 316-721-8255, and we'll get you rolling here. It is Open Line C today. Coming up in hour number 3, Phil Martinez of Phil's Coins. He joins us the last Thursday of every month. This being the last Thursday of, can you believe, the last day of May already? June. We are officially halfway through 2018. And June 1st starting tomorrow. This is nuts. I don't know if I'm quite ready for this yet. So we're getting ready for that. The brand new month kicking off tomorrow. Tomorrow is also being Friday. The kickoff to Riverfest. We're going to have Rick Everett down live at noon tomorrow down at Riverfest, right by the food court. You can go down, say hi to him, go check it out. It's Riverfest. Riverfest, as you know, really is one of the top 20 largest festivities that a city holds in the entire country, and it's going to be going on for the next week or so. So we're going to have fun with that. We'll be at the parade tomorrow night as well. Rick Everett broadcasting down there from noon to 1 tomorrow for KQA, and we'll have that broadcast coming up tomorrow. So stay tuned in for that. Lots more to get to. Plus, there is another rally happening this weekend. We'll have more information on that, a pro-Second Amendment rally. I'm going to be speaking at. A lot of great individuals are going to be speaking at here in Wichita tomorrow. We'll have more information on that as well. Bottom of the hour news coming up. Lots more to get to right here on The Voice of Reason on a Thursday. Stay here.
It's cold. Why do we dream when our thoughts mean nothing? And when will we learn to control?
It's time for Reason.
If this is a victory for Democrats thinking they have the momentum again, then let them have it, because that's as far as they're going to go. In a state that was already won by Democrats, already predominantly blue, in a state where the Republican did not want to embrace current Republican trends. If you're not going to do that, then you're not going to win. End of story. It's very simple.
This is The Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
That's what I'm talking about. Welcome into The Voice of Reason. Happy Thursday morning to you, kicking it off the right way for you, waking you up, getting you pumped up, excited. I mean, pretty soon, come on, just by listening to this program, you're going to feel like Arnold Schwarzenegger wanting to go into the gym, wanting to be, come on, man, yeah, bodybuild, yeah, very good, yeah. 316-721-8255, 316-721-TALK, open lines to you here this morning, 36 minutes past the hour. I do want to give you some crazy news, though. Some crazy, wild news that we'll get to in a second here, as I've never seen this before. This is kind of earth-shattering news when it comes to government agencies potentially cutting spending. Never seen anything like that before. We'll talk about that in just a second. But first, let's go to the phones. 316-721-8255, line number 1. Good morning. What's your name?
This is Jim.
Jim, good morning, sir. How are you?
Well, I had 2 comments, now I've got 3.
Okay.
The first comment, on your news this morning, before you came on the air, they announced that Wichita is online to, set a record for the number of murders, double what we had before. And then in the same news broadcast, they reported a Mexican woman who murdered the woman to steal her baby.
Yeah, Nico Hernandez, yes.
I wonder just exactly how many of the murders in Wichita are done by, 1, illegal aliens, and 2, people just from someplace else who've come to Wichita because they can sell drugs or do some other crime. And it's just part of their shtick.
It's an interesting question. I mean, I know that we do have, I'm sure, some individuals around the area that are potentially undocumented, illegal. So that would be an interesting question to see if that has any effect on what the crime rate's going on here in the region.
Yeah. And it's politically incorrect to ask that question, of course. Then I'm talking about Roseanne. I remember, one of my favorite comedians 50 years ago was a guy named Jonathan Winters.
Okay.
I don't know if you know who Jonathan Winters is or was.
Name does not ring a bell to me, no.
Oh, you've missed some great stuff. He made a movie called The Loved One.
Okay.
Which was making fun of the California funeral homes.
Oh, okay.
They were going to launch bodies into space for eternal savior because their cemetery was getting full.
I will have to watch that one.
And then, the guy was hilarious. He was in lots of different movies, and he had a TV show. But he went nuts one day on the docks of New York because he was seriously, saying that the Martians were landing. So
Fun.
You have to have a screw loose to be a good comedian. And some of those people develop different personalities to defend themselves. And the other comment I've got, you're talking about the government saving money. It must be the Defense Department is going to get cut for something.
Well, that's a good assumption, and I would usually assume that myself. I appreciate the call there, Jim. But actually, it's in the state of Kansas, and it's crazy that, I don't know if you remember or not, we've been talking the last couple of days about some of the budget cuts or the tuition hikes when it comes to universities and the state universities in the state of Kansas. And I cannot believe we're saying this, but, I mean, this is not really a big, huge thing, and it needs to go further. But the big news of the day is, of course, according to the Topeka Capital Journal, that Kansas University is making $20 million of budget cuts in the university. Oh, my goodness. I don't know. I mean, if you're going to school and you're about ready to go to university and you're trying to get your education, you're probably going to fail miserably now because you're probably not going to be allowed to have the same kind of resources and accessibility and opportunity as what individuals did the last couple of years before they had to cut their $20 million out of KU. Now, that's followed by as well $15 million reductions in budgets when it comes to Kansas State and K-State University. So overall, $35 million being cut. Now, as you know, this is absolutely pennies, chump change when it comes to the actual universities and how much they spend and what they're doing. But they're so desperate and they have to cut because they don't want to raise those tuitions again. Not that it really matters because students just pull out more student loans and then they get paid anyway. So it doesn't really matter to them. but they don't want to raise those tuitions, and that's just really bad, and we don't want to do that, so we're gonna have to cut spending. And the media, of course, is going nuts over it, thinking, well, this is probably going to be detrimental to the education, and I don't know how students will actually be able to educate themselves, go and actually learn something when they don't have all the money, kind of like K through 12 education, to where if we don't continuously increase spending year over year over year, then it's probably not going to be an adequate type of education. The University of Kansas administrators informed faculty and staff Tuesday that they plan to make the $20 million in budget cuts during the upcoming fiscal year, a reaction to harsh budget realities that previously led Kansas State University to authorize $15 million in spending reductions. Oh, mon Dieu. It's so painful. I don't know, however, we're going to survive. The KU Ed adjustment would represent 5.8% across-the-board decrease over current expenditures, while the Kansas State planned fiscal year starting in July 1 amounts to 5.7% in cuts. Oh, the problem. Staying the current course is not an option, according to the spokes individuals. Spreading the cut over several years is just not an option. Really? It's not an option. You can't cut it over a certain amount of years and continue to decrease year over year and be able to, squeeze the girdle a little bit, tighten it up, and be able to squeeze some of the budget just a little bit more. You can't do it. Got to do it on one lump sum, have the travesty of how terrible everything's going to be, and then try and advocate for tuition hikes and more government grants. Later on, the tactic costs us more financially, perpetuates climate and uncertainty about job security, raises and tuition costs, and keeps us in the constant state of want and need rather than advancing us towards a positive stability that we all deserve. Let me tell you something. You are a government-subsidized, state-run university. You're going to be fine. You're going to be fine. Now, we can talk about the decrease in actual enrollment when it comes to state universities, as we've talked about many times before, because people are going towards charter schools, are going towards private schools, are going towards trade schools, and actually going away from the state universities. Why? Because it's too damn expensive. Why? Because you don't get the education you necessarily need. So what do? Go to a trade school, get into the trade, make some good money, get out, and you're not in crazy amounts of debt. How many people are sick and tired of having $100,000, $150,000, $200,000 in student loan debt? I am. I've told you many times before, I have my $85,000 of student loans. I will be struggling to pay them off for a very long time. And that's just the reality of it. And if I could make that decision all over again, I would do something totally different to where I would not be in $85,000 of student loan debt. That's just the common sense reality of it. And if anybody is starting to wake up to this, maybe some are starting to say, wait a second, maybe this isn't a good idea. Maybe I shouldn't be doing this. You don't have to go to university. And people are starting to realize that, which is why tuition is going up, because the enrollment's decreasing. The cost is going up. Look, if you're a university professor and you're tenured in and you've written some books and you use your own book for your course curriculum, and then you change a line or change a chapter every year so that way you can come out with a new version of the book, and then all the new students have to pay $500 or whatever it is, $100 for a new book for that year, and then they can't resell it back and they can't hand it out to the younger generation trying to come up to the class, and every single year you're making the royalties off that book while you make it mandatory for all the students to purchase it. Yeah. You're going to be running into some financial burdens. And then you come back and say, yeah, you know what I want to do? I want a salary hike. I've been here for a really long time. I've been tenured in, baby. I got it. I'm coasting. I'm riding. I'm making $100,000, $150,000, $200,000 a year. I'm doing it. I need some salary hikes. And then the university comes back and says, all right, well, we got to give you salary hikes. I mean, come on, you are tenured. You are a professor that actually makes money making books and a really high salary for coming into a classroom once a day and teaching students, or a couple of times a day and teaching students. You are, don't get me wrong, university professors, do a lot when they do their job right, but you're making $200,000. We need to give you a salary hike, so therefore we're going to raise tuition. And then we're going to raise tuition again. And then we're going to ask for government grants. And then we're going to ask the state government, or the federal government for more money. And then we're going to do tuition hikes again. And it's a never-ending cycle. For the first time, I've never heard this before. Now, again, we need to do more. This is great. Pat on the back, well done. It's a great start. But this is the first time I've ever heard of a university saying, yeah, we're actually going to cut $20 million out of our budget. But what are they going to do? It's almost going to be like the government shutting down. Remember all the travesties that happens when the federal government shuts down, and they shut down the national parks, and they shut down all the memorials, and they shut down the tour through the White House, so that way the people suffer, right? Oh, we shut down the government, even though the Social Security Administration actually continues to work, and they could potentially send out checks. We're going to go out of our way to say specifically that department will shut down. So if we shut down the government, guess what? All you people on Social Security, you're not going to get your checks. This is what they like to do. This is what the universities are going to do, too. They're going to cut their $15 million at K-State. They're going to cut their $20 million at KU. And they're going to shut down, the liberal arts department, which we say, oh, my God. They're going to threaten to shut it down. And then we say, okay. And then they get all upset. And, oh, no, students need their education. You can't shut it down. You can't shut down these different resources. You can't stop these things because we need to educate the youth. So continue to educate the youth and just do it in a different way. No, we don't have enough money. We are a bare bones. We are skeleton crews. We are suffering. We are struggling. I don't know how we will make it this semester. These are the arguments you hear over and over and over and over, and I find it ironic, but at least they're starting to begin to make the changes and make some cuts. $20 million is not a whole lot. I'm sure that they will make that up just by sales tickets of sporting events coming up for the next school year. I'm pretty sure they're going to be okay. But it's a start. And as they talk about tuition hikes potentially for many of these students, they're looking at maybe doing a 1 or 2% increase in tuition rather than a 3 or 4% tuition increase, which is a start. Why you should have to do any of them at all still boggles the mind. But yet we're moving in the right direction slowly because we forced them into that position. We have forced them into it. We have raised tuition year over year for a few years now, haven't we? We forced them into it because they don't want to do it again because they're seeing their enrollment decrease. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is what we need to take away from it. Not only are we saying, hooray, great, we forced a government agency into forcing them to cut some of their spending and try and compensate for that on their end, but it shows that the system can be fractured. It shows the government system can be fractured, and we do have our ends. We just have to find that weak spot. We have to find the Achilles heel of the government. And I'm not saying bring down the entire government. That's not what I'm saying here. Don't take me in the wrong direction and don't try to interpret that in that sense. What I am saying that when it comes to discussions like K through 12 funding, when it comes to the Supreme Court, when it comes to other agencies in the government that are advocating for and saying we must have salary increases, we must have spending increases. We must have revenue increases. We must have more money to do what we need to do. And we forcefully say, no, you're not going to do it. No, you're not going to get it. No, you need to stay within your means. No, we need to focus on the private sector. When we force them to, and we stand up and we are bold and we are strong, we can make it happen. We can make it happen. We just did it. $20 million cuts at KU, $15 million at K-State. That's a good start. Let's keep going. Let's try and squeeze a little bit more. Let's tighten up the girdle a little bit because guess what? That's less money that we're going to have to worry about trying to increase in spending. Now, we're not cutting anything from the universities. We've never cut anything from the universities, which is why this is still really fascinating to me because while we're not cutting the higher education funding from the state government, they're saying, oh my gosh, we're not going to survive. We need to cut $20 million. Okay, good. We haven't cut how much money we're actually sending to you. So if you have to cut $20 million, that's because you went above and beyond $20 million from what you were allotted or what you were anticipating for your funds. And students are stopping from coming to your university because it's too damn expensive. That's really where we're at. Let's use that momentum. Let's use that same type of example for our K through 12 in the state of Kansas. Let's use that type of mentality when it comes to the Kansas Supreme Court. We are going to need that additional $1 billion in K through 12 education, or we will shut down the school. Go for it. Try it. See how that works for you. See how long that actually works. Go to the schools and tell them to shut their doors and that you care about the children so much that you would rather have the schools shut down and them not get any education than whatever education they currently are right now. Try and see how that works. Go to the state treasurer and say, do not sign those checks, even though we have the money to fund what we currently are funding right now. Well, kind of. Don't sign it, because either they get more on their check or they don't get anything at all. The purest mentality. We want all of it or nothing. See how well that works for you. And when we stand strong and when we stand bold and we stand firm, like we have on here, without increasing educational funding for higher ed, then they have to compensate. And the local school boards will begin to compensate. And they will try and make it the worst case example. And they will try and show that it's going to affect the students in the worst ways possible, because they will go out of their way to punish the children the worst ways possible. That's what they do. And as long as we anticipate that, we stand our ground and we call their bluff, then we will be able to fix this in time. And that's what our legislators need to do. And that's what you and I as the voters need to do. 721-8255. Am I wrong? Am I completely off base here? Or is that the direction that we may have to go? Because it comes down again, like we say over and over and over, it comes down to you and I taking the initiative to fix it ourselves, rather than relying on a bureaucrat and a politician to do it themselves, because they ain't going to do it. It's going to be on us. 8 minutes to the top of the hour. This is the Voice of Reason. Stay here.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
Welcome back into the Voice of Reason. Just a few minutes at the top of the hour on a Thursday morning, kicking off your morning the right way. 316-721-8255. And let's go to the phones here, shall we? Line number one. Good morning. What's your name?
Good morning, it's Deacon.
What's going on, Deacon? How you doing?
Oh, it's great right now. Later's going to suck.
It's going to be a fun time, my friend.
Oh yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Hey, I got two things on the college, the lowering of attendance at college.
What you got?
The first one is the federal government took over student loans.
Mm-hmm.
So they've ruined that process, and people aren't able to pay back their loans. Like my daughter, she's never going to be able to pay back the loan she's got.
Sure.
And the second one is the liberals have taken over college campuses, and the people who are supposed to be so tolerant are coming down on anybody who disagrees with them, who is different than them. So the people who are conservative or aren't as far to the left as these uber liberals on college campuses aren't going to college anymore.
So let me ask you this. Between those two examples right there, which are two excellent points of what the universities actually look like today, between being indebted to the government for the rest of your life for the subsidized education that you are getting. I mean, Bernie Sanders talks about a free education. You're really getting it with a subsidized one that you have to pay for the rest of your life just through your income and what you actually do. Between that and when you do go there, being browbeat by a bunch of progressives who are tolerant and lovey-dovey except for anybody that's conservative, what's the point of actually going?
There isn't one. And people are finally starting to realize that they can get trade school jobs. They can get OJT jobs. You don't have to go to college to get for every job that you want to do.
Mm-hmm. You can actually use your hands and actually become, actually have a career where you can make some good money. Great points, Deacon. I appreciate it very much. You're absolutely right. Makes you really think about and ponder what's the point of going to the university. Now, university, there are some needs and purposes to go there, but sometimes it's just not for everybody. Hour number 2, The Voice of Reason, coming up in a minute. Stay here.
Speak. It's time for Reason.
If you have a $200, $300, $400 cell phone bill every month for you and the family, then you have a problem, because we're paying you what the market actually sets for you and for your job skills. We're paying market value for you, and you're not going to manipulate the market on what the value of your job is just because you can't figure out your own personal budget. That's on you. That's not on me. We need to remember that we need to take on personal responsibility.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
Then I'll get on my knees and pray. We don't get fooled again. Don't get fooled again.
That's what I'm talking about. Welcome into the Voice of Reason. Hour number 2 of the Voice of Reason, broadcasting live out of the heart of the nation. Here in Wichita, Kansas, on the Big Talker, 1480 on the AM side, 102.5 on the FM side, KQAM, simulcasting on KGPT TV, channel 2610. What up? Welcome in. It is a Thursday, the pre-Friday celebration. has finally arrived. We see the light at the end of the tunnel, and what a weekend it's going to be. It's going to be a wild, crazy weekend at that. 8 minutes past the hour. 316-721-8255. 316-721-TALK. If you want to join into the program, we'd love to hear from you today. It is open lines for the second hour here. Coming up in an hour from now, to kick off the 8 a.m. hour, Phil Martinez of Phil's Coins is going to join us as he does the last Thursday of every month. By the way, before we get into the topic, can I just ask you something? Have we lost our minds? Have we lost our minds? I'm assuming we have, as I don't know if you've watched these videos. It's a yearly thing, I think. It's an annual yearly thing, but the extreme cheese fans, the cheesing, the Gloucester, I'm going to attempt to pronounce this, the Gloucestershire cheese rolling. The big hill where people just like tumbled down it and they race tumbling down the hill. And you watch the videos where they're not like rolling in a controlled roll. They're literally like rolling, bouncing off the little hills and the bumps and flying up into the air and rolling and tumbling and banging their head and crashing and breaking their arms. And these guys are nuts. And I don't know what the purpose of it is. I don't know what the motive is or what the reward is at the end of it, other than having a trophy saying that you're the ultimate cheeser. Come on. It's almost to the extent of like eating a Tide Pod or something to me. Like, I don't know why you would want to do this. It looks almost kind of fun, but then not really. Tide Pods at least don't even look appetizing. This looks entertaining at least. I just don't know what the purpose of this is. 316-721-8255, 316-721-TALK. We do have Facebook Live up and rolling as well, facebook.com/1480KQAM. And you can like it, share it, leave a comment, ask a question. Let's blow up the Facebook feed. Let's break the Facebook social media algorithms when it comes to your take on some of these issues and advancing conservatism on a daily basis. I want to set up an example for you. Sometimes we need to step back for a minute. We need to just go back to the basics. Because sometimes we get tied up in the muddiness of the politics. Sometimes we go so deep into the weeds that we forget what the actual issues are. Because a lot of individuals don't really go into the deep weeds when it comes to political discussions, when it comes to the political philosophies, when it comes to a lot of these deeper things that we like to discuss. And I enjoy it, and I know that you enjoy it, and we try and do that the best that we can and try and break it down for everybody. But sometimes we just need to go back to the basics to really prove a point. And progressives, turn up the radio, turn up the dial, listen up for a second, because I really want to try and reach you. And if you believe in government controlling and regulating business, controlling and regulating industry, then this conversation's for you, because I really want you to try and defend that kind of position. There's a story that came out, and of course this pops up every once in a while. It's happened all over the country. It's happened predominantly in like California, a little bit in Denver now, and this one actually came out of Denver. But according to CBS Denver Channel 4, child's lemonade stand gets shut down for a lack of permit. And now all the parents are up in arms, and they're having a discussion on what to do about the children's lemonade stands if they want to sell lemonade for 25 or 50 cents on the side of the streets, and how they don't have the permits in order to do so, and the government, the law enforcement and the government coming down to shut down the children's lemonade stand. And we've used this example many times before, so I want to do it in a different way, because I want to do it in a way that's relatable to other individuals. Because sometimes maybe you didn't have that lemonade stand, right? Maybe you just didn't. You didn't think about that as a kid. Your parents didn't try and teach you about the value of $1 or the value of a good day's work, or using your hands, or what the cost versus revenue actually is, and the expenses that go into a business, and then what your profits actually are in the end, and how hard sometimes that is to actually achieve. So I want to put it in a different example. I want to put it in a different way. Because I've always been kind of business oriented. I've been intrigued by it. I never really necessarily learned about this stuff as a child myself, so I'm kind of learning as I go. But I want to start a business. And I've been looking at some of the businesses that have been lucrative and business demands, or different consumer demands, especially in progressive areas, maybe like California or like Denver, that I think would be very appropriate. So I'm going to start, ladies and gentlemen, my very own Hoosiers Mobile Tide Pod and condom snorting convenience store. And I think that this is going to be a very flourishing type of business, because if you go into the progressive sides of the nation, people love apparently snorting condoms and eating Tide Pods. So I'm going to start my very own Hoosiers Mobile Tide Pod and condom snorting convenience store. So I can go around to the street corners. I can go to different college campuses. I can go to outside of other convenience stores, and I can set up my little table, and I can sell you Tide Pods and condoms to snort and eat. And I think it would be a very fruitful kind of business. And I can even have some additional products there as well, other than just the Tide Pod. I can do an additional one like a Hot Pocket Tide Pod. You know, Hot Pockets. You eat the Hot Pocket, you can have the ham and cheese, you can have the pepperoni, or now you can have the Tide Pod flavor, the forbidden fruit, with extra detergent flavoring. And I could sell it for an 8-pack. So here's my sale prices. I think I'm going to sell, if you buy into this, this goes into the business side of this, so listen up, progressives, because this might give you an idea. If you go to the store and you buy a container of Tide Pods, it's about $20 for a package of them, about 81 count. 81 Tide Pods for about $20, which breaks it down per Tide Pod of what your expense is about 25 cents a Tide Pod. So that way you can kind of get an understanding of what your expense is actually going to be. So if you turn around and you try to sell it, you need to cover your expense along with actually making a profit. So let's say that I could sell my Tide Pods for 50 cents a pop. Bam! 50 cents a pop for that one. It'll be fantastic. I'll sell the condoms for $1, so that way you can eat a Tide Pod and snort your condom however you want to. Then I can turn around and have the additional features of like the Hot Pocket Tide Pods that are going to be an 8-pack for, let's say, $5. Because that'll be kind of cool, because then I got to make the dough, and I got to make the breading, and I got to wrap it, and I got to bake it and do the whole thing. So you know what? The Hot Pocket Tide Pods, I'm going to make an 8-pack for $5. Still relatively cheap. But let's say I go to the street corners and I begin to try and sell these, and all the college kids are loving it, baby. They're just eating it up. They're just going, literally, they're eating it up. They're just eating the Tide Pods. They're buying the condoms for not even the purpose of what condoms are actually intended for. They are going for the Hot Pocket Tide Pods because they think it's really cool and a really cool feature, and it's kind of something special and unique and kind of original, and they're really digging it. But then the government comes in and law enforcement comes up to my stand and says, "Do you have a permit for this?" And I say, "Try a Hot Pocket and see if you like it." But they shut me down and they fine me and they say that you need to spend $125 for a permit, which, by the way, is usually what the price is for many of these lemonade stands. Of if the government does try to come down and get you, is not only do they fine you, but they charge you a $125 permit fee depending on what part of the nation that you're in. So let's say it's $125. Guess what? Now comes into even more of the economics of how much does it cost to maintain your business with the expenses that are continuously piling up. I already spent $20 for the 81 count of the Tide Pods. I already spent money for the dough for the Hot Pockets. And then I always spent the money for however much it was for the pack of condoms to be able to turn around and sell them for $1 a pop. So I'm starting to make some money, but then the question is, and by the way, this is for the individuals in Common Core math as well, and Common Core education in our K through 12 system. You remember the nice little stories and the nice little word math problems that you have, and you have to piece it all together to figure out what to do. Here's the math problem for you. Is first off, in scenario 1, how many Tide Pods and Hot Pockets and condoms do you have to sell in order to make a profit based on the expense of purchasing the $20 for the 81 count of Tide Pods and the package of condoms and the dough for the Hot Pockets? Now, part number 2 is now the permit comes out for $125 and the fee comes down for $100 from the government and says that now you must have the permit in order to sell this. So now you're already $120 or close to, let's say, $220, $250 in deep. Now, how many Tide Pods and Hot Pockets and condoms do you actually have to sell in order to make a profit? So what do? Do you have to try and just sell more and more and more and more and more, or do you raise up your prices in order to compensate for that? Because remember, there is a bell curve on this as well, to where you're going to cap out of how many consumers you're actually going to have purchasing your product as opposed to the price that you're actually going to get. And you have to find that happy medium in order to make that profit. So let me ask you something. Progressives who really love government regulation in the government sector or in the private sector and on small businesses, if you go to the store and you say, "Oh, these prices are really expensive," and you don't like it because it's really expensive, let me ask you something. Is it because the government is regulating it, or is it because the evil business owner is gouging you on their profits? It's a good question, right? Now you're starting to understand why businesses do not like government. Now you're beginning to understand why government is not the best way to actually regulate the entire economy in the private sector. Because no longer, first off, name one thing that's not regulated in this business. If I try and sell my Tide Pods, if I try and sell my Tide Pod Hot Pockets, and I try and sell my condoms, they're for the snorting. If you do that, then all of those things, by the way, are regulated. It's going to be difficult to purchase these items. And then I have to turn around and get the permit for these. Now I'm going to have to raise my prices. No longer can I sell my 8-pack of Hot Pockets for $5 and my regular individual Hot Pocket for 50 cents a piece. Now it's probably going to be close to $2 a Tide Pod and probably about $10 for the 8-pack of Hot Pockets. Now you're going to come back to me and say, oh, it's really expensive. Why'd you jack up your prices? Guess what? The government made me do that. The basics of an economy. So I open up the phone lines to any progressive to ask you, how do you possibly believe that government's there to help you when it comes to the private economy? In what world, in what commonsensical, reasonable world do you believe that it's okay for the government to come in and make you sign all these permits and make you actually to do all these regulations and jump through all these red hoops and have to pay for all these fines and pay for all these licenses and do all these things and then say that we live in a private economic free market capitalist society to where you can actually set the prices for your product that's best for the consumer? Tell me how that makes sense in any way, shape, or form, and then let alone the fact that you just want to shut down a little child's lemonade stand because you think that they're not paying the fees to the government. The government needs to be able to get that revenue. 316-721-8255. I'm really curious on your thoughts on this. This is really the great basics of an economy, and if you maybe didn't go through a Common Core education system, then maybe, just maybe, you can actually understand and put that math problem together to understand how much more expensive the costs are when it comes to your bottom line and how many more that you need to sell or what the prices need to be in order for you to make a profit, as opposed to maybe individuals that went through the Common Core education can't quite piece together that math problem. I'll let you figure it out over the break. 316-721-8255. This is The Voice of Reason.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier on the Big Talker KQAM.
24 minutes past the hour. Welcome back into The Voice of Reason here on KQAM. I don't know if you liked my example or not. I had to bring in someone else to get their thoughts. Scott Stiles over from across the studio. It's here. Good morning,
Good morning.
sir.
Good morning. Good morning.
So I was setting up the situation of trying to explain basic economics when it comes to trying to start a business.
Yes.
And the expenses and how much the expenses actually accrue compared to what you need to make in order to make revenue based on how much product goes out your door.
Sure.
I'm starting my very own business, Scott.
Nice.
I am starting my Hoosiers Mobile Tide Pod and Condom Snorting Convenience Store.
I love it.
See, and I'm going to be not only selling Tide Pods and condoms to snort, but I'm also going to be making Hot Pocket Tide Pods.
Oh.
See? What do you think?
I love that.
Do you think it's going to be successful?
You know what? I think you should start in Colorado.
Colorado and California. Yes. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah. I mean, they already got some things going there. Pizza parlors are up right now in Colorado.
Why not?
And Dorito sales. So I say you try there.
I mean, come on. The Cheeto stock is skyrocketed in Denver. It's
Everybody's
fantastic.
got orange fingers, but other than that, it's good.
Other than that, it's perfect. So that way they can eat the Tide Pods as well. And the Hot Pocket Tide Pods.
Love it.
Love it. There we go. Okay. See, got the endorsement there. I think we're ready to go. 316-721-8255. 316-721-TALK if you want to join into the program. Oh, we have too much fun on this show. Hey, I want to remind you that not only have you been submitting your recipes for the KQAM KGSO cookbook, no, I will not include I'm not going to include the Tide Pod Hot Pocket recipe in there. I probably should, though. I probably should. That would be entertaining. I might include the Tide Pod Hot Pocket recipe. But you can have recipes, and I will have a... see, I got to control myself here. How to make a real Hot Pocket recipe. I do have one. And it's actually really good if you want to make it an actual like pizza, like a real legit pepperoni Hot Pockets. I keep wanting to say a Tide Pod Hot Pocket now. But if you want to make a Hot Pocket realistic, like an actual like pepperoni and pizza one, I do have a recipe for that. And it's actually really cool. And you can actually make it as much as you want, put as much stuff in there as you want. be able to bake it, put the right seasonings in. That kind of stuff's going to be in our KQAM KGSO first annual cookbook, and you're going to be able to get a copy of this. It's going to come out relatively soon, in the next month or so. You'll have it available for you. If you do want to submit a recipe to it, you still have an opportunity. It's going to be really cut off in the next week or two. So you don't have a whole lot of time left. If you want to, though, you can submit recipe@kqamradio.com. Just email it to me. I get those emails, and I'll be able to compile it for you. Recipe@kqamradio.com. By the way, you do get into the drawing. Hat tip to Wichita Tractor for the brand new pellet grill if you end up submitting that recipe. But if you haven't yet, or you don't want to, or for whatever reason you don't have a good recipe, that's okay. When the cookbook comes out, it's going to be pretty fantastic. You're going to have an opportunity to see not only some really cool recipes, but you're going to be able to get some drink recipes, maybe some breakfast or desserts or dinners or barbecue or whatever. In the back of it as well, we do have many of our great sponsors, which are going to have it at their locations, which you're going to be able to go to and pick up the cookbook. And they're going to have coupons. They're going to have discounts. They're going to have whatever. And it's going to be really, really cool. So stay tuned. That's going to be coming out the next month or so as well. More information you'll be able to get at kqamradio.com, kqamradio.com, and you can get information on our first annual KQAM KGSO cookbook. And may throw in there the ultimate Hot Pocket Tide Pod recipe, because that would be just entertaining. 316-721-8255. When we come back, got to take a bottom of the hour break. When we come back, it is our day as well, talking about food. It is our day for our complimentary burger and fries at Riverside Cafe. Right here on The Voice of Reason, we'll give that away coming up in the next segment. Stay tuned in for that. We'll have a fun way to give it away, a trivia, or maybe get your take, or maybe you have to call in to give a recipe on the air of something, maybe something simple that you do at home all the time, a normal meal that you like to have at your family. We'll do something fun, but we'll give you a complimentary burger and fries from Riverside Cafe. 3 locations, 2 in Wichita, 1 in Derby, and get you your complimentary burger and fries. Plus, as we talk about business, and as we've hopefully been able to set the stage and make you understand a little bit, if you're not a business owner, maybe you are, and you're like, yeah, makes sense, the difference between the government expenses, your investment into the business, and how much you need to make in order to turn around, sell the product, and make a profit and a revenue, because, it's really hard to stay in business and actually offer the product if you don't make a revenue and continue on in business, and what that takes. But now, local businesses, the local economy in the Wichita area is picking up. Summertime's here, looking for some of that part-time work. Where are we going to go to get that, and what can we do in our local economy to be able to grow that, invest in it, and be able to see ourselves flourish? We'll talk about all that and more when we come back. It's The Voice of Reason on a Thursday. Stay here.
Headline just isn't enough.
Is that all you got?
It's time to wake up the right way.
All right.
This is The Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier on the Big Talker, 1480 AM and 1025 FM, KQAM.
Oh, yeah. Welcome into The Voice of Reason. 35 minutes past the hour. It is the Thursday, the pre-Friday celebration, making it happen today. This portion of The Voice of Reason brought to you by Riverside Cafe. 3 locations, 2 in Wichita, 1 in Derby. 9125 West Central Avenue, 739 West 13th Street, and 824 North Baltimore in Derby. We'll have for you at the end of this segment a complimentary burger and fries. Stay tuned in for that one. Now, here's the thing. I've been talking about starting and eating and trying the 3-pound burger, which is going to happen. The wife has had me, Mrs. Voice of Reason, has had me on a fun diet, trying to get all healthy-like and stuff, and, but now that I'm, back to normal, this is going to happen. The 3-pound burger. Rick Everett coming in as well. I am so ready for this. I've been training. I've been preparing for this. I am going to do this.
OMG ...
I am so excited to make this happen.
All right, so I had my doctor visit yesterday. You got to go in and have these little checkup thingies and all this, and I was kind of talking to him about these, in the midlife. And I'll claim that till I'm 75. In the midlife. You have
When does midlife start?
I would say right around 40.
I got some time.
Yeah,
all right.
you're pre-midlife, just like a
Okay.
pre-Friday celebration.
See. I
Okay,
like that.
but anyway, I was telling the doctor about some of these little aches and pains that we get as we mature, and he attributed them to the potential of maybe if I would lose a little weight, I wouldn't be having some of them. That hurt.
Well,
That hurt right in the butt.
there you go. That
And
that,
the
that
gut.
hits you. That hits you right
And
in the gut
rib
like
cage
that.
and
Uh-huh.
yeah. So anyway, but when you talk about eating a 3-pound burger at Riverside
Yeah.
Cafe, I'm like,
Yeah.
maybe not.
Yeah.
But the nice thing is they have healthy food too.
Oh, they got great food. They got great food, not just a 3-pounder. They got
And-
plenty of opportunities for you to get whatever you need.
He announced Paul Comey, a guy that owns Riverside, announced right before Memorial Day of a special they're doing all the way through Labor Day, where if you're active duty military, retired military, or active law enforcement, any of those three, you come in with an ID that states such, and you buy a meal and 2 drinks, and then you get a second meal for whoever's with you of equal or lesser value at no charge.
Free.
So that's a cool deal.
It is. It is. I mean, that's a great way to do it.
What a glorious day
It is a glorious day.
in South Central Kansas, and I haven't heard you mention this yet. Now,
What's
maybe
that?
I've missed it because I'm locked in that little newsroom.
We do kind of continue in there.
just
yeah.
typing away, but I haven't heard you mention Riverfest, have I?
I have mentioned Riverfest.
Okay, I'm sorry then.
Absolutely. You're going to be out there from noon to 1 tomorrow. Aren't you excited? You get to be right by the river, the food court again. Like usual, you go out there and then you get all hungry because you see the food court and you smell all the food and you hear all the music.
You're
and
making
you're
my
right
stomach growl just talking about it.
See, yeah, you're out there. No, it's always a fun time.
But
You
did
get
you
to do
hear
that.
that Ampero guy that does the weather on KQAM?
It's going to be warm.
Did you hear what the heat index is tomorrow?
Over 100.
107.
Yeah. Isn't that nice?
Now, but, I mean, I'm not worried about it because,
That's America.
well, and I'm kind of in the shade where they have me set up on the east side of Century 2. And you know what? If people are going out to Riverfest, the cool thing about it is Riverfest is acclimated to heat. I mean, they have the little misters going on and there's water everywhere. And so I'm not really worried about that. But yeah, tomorrow, noon to 1.
Going to be fun.
Come out and see me. Don't just listen on the radio. I mean, that part's great too because we are Riverfest Radio.
We
after
are
all.
Riverfest. You're right. No, there's a lot of great things happening, and we talked to Murray McGee earlier this week when it came to the Black Kettle Festival. That's going to be kicking
that's
off
Saturday.
on Friday and Saturday as well.
Up
Friday
in Mound
evening.
Ridge.
Yep, in Mound Ridge. There we got the Riverfest starting off tomorrow with you being out there at noon. The parade's going to be in the evening. We'll be involved in that. That's going to be a lot of fun. And that's starting tomorrow, going all the way through the following Saturday. So it's going to be a week of great, awesome festivities and shenanigans. Tomorrow on Saturday as well, there is a Second Amendment rally here in Wichita that I get to speak at, and that's going to be a lot of fun.
I
So,
didn't tell you about this yet either.
uh-oh. Does it have to do with my new business?
No.
Okay.
And I haven't heard about your new business because I've been locked in that room typing away doing
Well, I think it's going to
news.
be a surefire success.
What is it?
It is Hoosiers Mobile Tide Pod and Condom Snorting Convenience Center. And not only will I be selling Tide Pods
Oh
and
my
condoms to snort,
gosh.
but also I'm going to be making my Hot Pocket Tide Pods.
Hot Pocket Tide Pods.
There you go.
So those are like pre-warmed? and-
Pre-warmed and ready to go, baby.
Oh my God.
With the forbidden fruit flavor of extra detergent.
I literally have not heard much about Tide Pods.
No,
lately.
because actually they're moving to new things. Have you heard? Have you
Well,
heard?
The last I heard was the snorting condoms.
Well, it went from the Tide Pods to the snorting condoms. Then it went to the hot coil contest.
hot. Oh yeah, where you touch a hot object to you. And,
No. Well, you turn on the hot coils on your stove,
On the stove.
and then you put your forearm on it and see how long you can last actually keeping it on there and scarring yourself and burning yourself.
Way
It went
cool.
from there. Then it went to the chemical burn test. And it went to the compressed air. If you do the compressed air long enough in one spot, it'll build up and you'll get a chemical burn. And now the new contest is to see how long you can actually do that.
Gosh.
So that's the new one, apparently. I have not seen anybody do it yet, but I've heard about that one. So,
Okay,
the
so
latest
now,
trend.
For this Riverside Cafe giveaway thing that we're doing today, that we do every Thursday on your pre-Friday celebration, are we doing Stump the Newsman, or what are we doing?
Well, last time we did Stump the Newsman, kind of struggled a little bit.
Oh, because nobody called, because they know better.
Struggled a little bit because, well, they knew. I mean, who didn't know Quantum Leap? I mean, come on.
I've got one for them.
You've got one.
I've got
okay.
one for Stump the Newsman. Is there music we set up for this or what? All right.
There you go.
Welcome
Here it is.
in, boys and girls. It's today's edition of Stump the Newsman on KQAM.
What flavor of vapor is Rick smoking?
Now, no. We'll make it even easier. There is a very, very famous rocker who is coming to the state of Kansas to stump on behalf of a gubernatorial candidate in the not-too-distant future. If you know who that rocker is and who he's stumping for, be the first one to call 721-8255. Is that the right number? 721-8255?
Yes.
Yeah, be the first one to call that right now, and you will win a free burger and fries from Riverside Cafe.
Complimentary burger and fries at
A
any of their
very
locations.
famous rock and roll, I'll give another hint, Second Amendment proponent coming to Kansas to stump for one of the current gubernatorial candidates.
Mm-hmm.
This is going to take place in the not-too-distant future. Do you need yet another clue to call 721-8255?
We do have a caller.
All right, let's take the call.
316-721-8255. Can you guess it? Is it going to be right? Is it going to be wrong? Time will only tell. Line number 1. Good morning. What's your name?
My name's Troy.
Troy, how are you?
All right. Good to talk to you.
Hey, you
Hey,
as well.
is it Ted Nugent and stumping for Chris Kobach?
You are absolutely correct, my friend.
There it is. There it is.
is.
We got it. I love it. Hang on the line. Don't go anywhere, Troy. Stay on the line. We'll get your information. You, my friend, just won yourself a complimentary burger and fries at Riverside Cafe. 3 locations, 2 in Wichita, 9125 West Central Avenue.
That was fun.
739 West 13th Street, 1 in Derby as well, 824 North Baltimore Avenue. So congratulations, my friend. You got that one. There it is.
All right.
The man, the Motor City Madman, Uncle Ted. We got to get him back on the show.
I have things in the works, trust me.
I need to reach out to him. I haven't done that in a while. Last time I emailed him, it was last fall.
I got you, bro.
I mean, hey. Now, if he's coming to town, he kind of needs to come in studio, too.
Ted and I are like this.
Making it happen. Well, the last time I reached out early fall, they said, Ted is in the tree stand, is unavailable until further notice. And I said, okay. But I have had him on the show 2 or 3 times already.
Well, there you go.
There you go. Fantastic.
Thanks to
Congratulations.
Riverside Cafe, thanks to Troy, and thanks to Ted Nugent.
Thanks to Ted Nugent. You won yourself a burger friend right there. So let me ask you, do you think my business is going to be successful?
It might need some refinement. I mean, I will say this. There are areas of the country where that might be a very successful business model.
That's what I'm saying.
But not in Wichita.
Well, maybe at universities around the state.
Not in Wichita.
Maybe in universities.
Come on, we're Kansas, man. We're smarter than that.
If we have to put name tags on ourselves at KU to announce our pronoun preference, then you never know.
Well, then there's that.
There you go. 46 minutes past the hour. We'll take a break, wrap up hour number 2. Lots more to get to today. This is The Voice of Reason here on KQAM.
You're listening to The Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
Minutes at the top of the hour. Welcome back into The Voice of Reason. Wrapping up hour number 2. Goes by way too fast. 316-721-8255. By the way, there's a report by Bloomberg that shows that teen workers, high school students, or college students that are trying to work their way through college, that teen workers actually wanting to work are down by 20% over the last 4 decades. Kind of a troubling concern. Now, there are many, I mean, look, the industry has changed quite dramatically from, working, maybe doing summer classes to just taking out total living expenses through your college student loan. So that way you don't feel you need to actually work, to internships, even to where you're interning in your industry through the university or through different study programs, to where you're not necessarily getting paid, but you're trying to get the experience to hopefully get into the industry. That's how I did it. I had to actually log 300 hours of internships when I actually went to the broadcasting school in order to be able to graduate the school and say that I was certified in broadcasting, which was wild because I was trying to work a side job and do the schooling, which was from 6 to 10 at night, 3 nights a week, and then be able to do my internship hours over the 6 months and do 300 hours logged into my internship. So it was kind of tough. It was tight. Now, I made the stupid decision before that by actually not working at all in college, really, a little bit here and there, but not a whole lot. And I did take out my living expenses, which is why I have 2 years of state university education under my belt with $85,000 of student loan debt. And that probably makes sense right there. But the new industries are changing, and now some businesses are even offering some form of student loan forgiveness or paying for some of the student loan debt that students are getting if they end up working for the business, because many businesses needed and demanded and actually needed a lot of those workers, a lot of those student workers, maybe the young ones, maybe the ones doing some of the easier jobs, some of the beginner positions, and with the lower wages. And they needed that. So now they're starting to offer some of the student loan forgiveness programs that were paying them a little bit higher rates in order to entice students to want to actually come out and get jobs while they're in college, because that's the perfect kind of workforce that we need. Which, by the way, would take care of some of the other problems that we have when it comes to the entry-level positions as well, rather than looking towards other individuals that don't necessarily need to be here. 316-721-8255. Let's go to the phones, shall we? Good. Oh, I guess we lost them. That's all right. Give me a call back. We'd love to hear from you. 316-721-8255. It is interesting, though, that the young students, the young generation, where we're seeing a decrease in those summer jobs, or we're seeing that part-time job going away. Is it because of the wages? Makes sense. We tried to talk about it in the first part of the hour when I created my business. It is tongue-in-cheek, obviously, but it proves a point. You cannot sell your product at the proper price, 50 cents for a Tide Pod, if the government comes in and slaps down a $125 licensing fee. It's just not going to be feasible. So what do? Do you jack up your prices for the product? Do you try to cut some of your expenses? Well, you got to buy the product in order to turn around and sell the product. So you have some expenses going out that way. It's going to be a little difficult, isn't it? Then it comes to the wages. You try and hire somebody else. Maybe you're doing really well. Okay, you know what? I need to be in numerous locations. There's a lot of college universities where the students are needing their Tide Pods to eat. Maybe I need to start branching out a little bit. Maybe I need to actually hire somebody else to go to another university and sell these. Guess what? Now you got to pay that person. And the wages go up. So then they come back and say, yeah, you know what? I need $15 an hour. What? Excuse me? Now take that as a business owner and think about it. How many more of the product do you need to sell in order to compensate and cover that type of expense? This is what government does. It completely manipulates and twists the private sector to where you're not feasible, or we turn around and at least try and say that we have a free market capitalist system. It doesn't work that way. When you have the government coming out and saying, nah, you need to raise up the salary hikes. Yeah, you need to actually pay more for the licensing to be able to sell this product. Yeah, you kind of need to actually have more money coming out when it comes to your taxes, because you need to pay your fair share. Because if you're a business owner, then you're probably the evil, greedy, rich individuals with that are better off than less fortunate people. So therefore, you just need to pay your fair share. This is the government manipulation. And then we have progressive liberal Democrats that say that we need more of this kind of mentality, that we need to do this all over again, that we need to push this envelope even further. And while we sit here and try to say and try to justify that we have a free market, private, capitalist system, and it just doesn't work. No wonder why everybody's in debt. And no wonder why businesses are not wanting to expand to hire on more individuals. And then we see that 20% over the last 4 decades, young students, the young generation working in college, they're actually not working anymore. They're not getting their summertime jobs. They're not working the part-time jobs. They're not working their way through college. 20% drop off. That is astronomical. Because even look at how many kids are actually going to college today compared to 4 decades ago. And the fact that we still saw a 20% drop in the number of students that actually go out and work. And the businesses are suffering. The businesses are trying to look to find anybody that can, not only to be able to give the experience to the young generation for the work, whether it's the industry they want to go into and they want to become the specialist in that industry, or whether they're just trying to do it for the paycheck, and we're trying to give them work ethic experience, which is extremely important as well. Almost just as important, by the way, is actually working in the industry that you want to. The work ethic experience. To learn what it is to actually go to work and work a full day's labor and then be able to come home and feel exhausted at the end of the day. That's the kind of experience that everybody needs to have. But we don't anymore. And right now it's needed more than ever when they're looking for cheap ways to be able to have labor as a business. And justifiably so.
Andy, they actually hate the people because they don't want to charge them.
So, well, you know what? Then get the government out of their way so that way they can actually have their bottom line be a little bit better. Why don't we stop this crazy, absurd argument for $15 an hour for minimum wage? Why don't we stop this crazy, absurd mentality that we are going to have a set basic government income for everybody so that way we can have social programs be increased? That's not only going to put money in the pockets of individuals without actually having to work for it, but then everybody that is working, their taxes are going to go up to compensate for that. And we think that's okay? We think that's actually legit? We think that's a good way to go? It's absolutely, completely mind-blowing how naive and ignorant some individuals are wanting to believe in some of this. It's time to get the workforce back. It's time to increase some of our job abilities. It's time to increase some of the young generation's mindsets of actually wanting to go to work and do something productive. Got to take a break. Wrapping up hour number 2. When we come back, hour number 3, the man himself, Phil Martinez of Phil's Coins. He'll be joining us as he does the last Thursday of every month. This is The Voice of Reason. Stay here.
It's time for Reason.
If you have a $200, $300, $400 cell phone bill every month for you and the family, then you have a problem because we're paying you what the market actually sets for you and for your job skills. We're paying market value for you, and you're not going to manipulate the market on what the value of your job is just because you can't figure out your own personal budget. That's on you. That's not on me. We need to remember that we need to take on personal responsibility.
This is The Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
Then I get on my knees and pray. We don't get fooled again. Don't get fooled again.
That's what I'm talking about. Welcome into The Voice of Reason, broadcasting live out of the heart of the nation here in Wichita, Kansas on the Big Talker, 1480 on the AM side, 102.5 on the FM side, KQAM. Simulcasting on KGPT TV, channel 2610. Welcome aboard. What up? Welcome in. It is the pre-Friday celebration. Hour number 3 of The Voice of Reason. Welcome in. 316-721-8255, 316-721-TALK, as we usually do. And if you're watching TV or you're watching the Facebook Live, you can see our guest camera in studio as he hangs out with us the last Thursday of every single month. Phil Martinez of Phil's Coins, 9344 West Central Avenue, right here in Wichita. Mr. Phil Martinez himself. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
How are you?
I'm fine.
It's good to see you again. It's been a little bit.
Been a while.
I cannot believe we are now coming up, starting tomorrow, being in June.
Yes.
Halfway through 2018.
Is that not crazy?
Can you believe it? I
just paid my taxes.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, we get to look forward to paying them all over again here soon.
Oh, God.
Don't you look forward to that?
They hurt me bad this year.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that with the business side of it. The big hubbub, of course, was when a lot of individuals filed their taxes because of the retroactive tax increase last year. The average that people had to pay and actually owe the state that I had heard was roughly around $2,000 to $2,500. From the business side, I'm sure that didn't help you as the business. See, they're saying, oh, guess what? Your business taxes were retroactive for 6 months out of last year. What did you owe the state, I'm assuming?
Well, normally I owe the state about $150, $200. Every once in a while, $300.
Sure.
But see, we had that tax exemption, some little small tax exemption. I guess I didn't realize how big it was until I didn't have it, because at the last minute there wasn't like any paying money in to get ahead on your quarterlies and stuff.
Sure.
So they hit us. We ended up paying about $4,000. So that was
$4,000.
I took somewhere between probably about a $3,500 hit that I was not prepared for, and it did
some damage.
It hurt.
Yeah, it did some damage to the business. I mean, that's shocker. A small business that's actually trying to, generate revenue and then gets hit with a big old $4,000 tax hit.
Well, you take a $4,000 tax hit and that's probably 10% of my gross. So or 10% of my profits.
Sure.
Just so that was 10% less money I had to do anything else with.
Good golly, that's but the government's out to take care of you, right?
Well, now next year I should get a refund. They tell me because of the Trump. There's going to be a bigger discounts for different things.
Hopefully.
They tell me I'll get a discount or refund. We usually try to pay enough money ahead to where we have enough money to pay the first quarter to the government.
Sure.
Because we pay quarterly. So we try to make sure we have enough money to pay that. And then that way I don't get hit for all of a sudden, paying in $4,000, $5,000 every quarter, and then all of a sudden get popped in for another $4,000 or $5,000 at the end of the year to start the year. So usually that's what we do. But
sure.
We thought we had plenty of money this year. I even had to I even had to come up with more money for the federal government too. So it was not one of my pleasant experiences with the government this year.
Yeah, don't you just feel warm and cozy the fact that you get to give the government more of your money? You just feel really good about that.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
I mean, I realize I have a share to pay.
Mm-hmm.
I have no problems with that. Unfortunately, I look at a lot of other things out there, and we've created a society, and people don't understand. You talk about these kids not working and stuff. I think to a certain degree, the liberals don't want them working because they want them dependent on the government, and it's so easy to get government assistance that I was at the this is a true story. I don't have any names, so I'm not going to give any names. But I was at the Social Security office the other day because the government made a mistake on something, and
shocker.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was a legitimate mistake. They said my wife only made this much money. Well, our taxes showed we made more money, and it's going to affect her Social Security check here in a few years. So we were just trying to get this straightened out with the government. And I'm standing there talking to somebody, and it was line, and the lady goes, "Yeah, I'm on Social Security disability, la 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 la." And I said, "Well, that's fine." And she goes, "But I want to work." Mm-hmm. She said, "Even though I've got some problems and issues, I can work."
Sure.
But for me to go to work and make enough to compensate for what I would lose from the government, I would have to make $22 an hour. And she said at $22 an hour, I'd end up with about $300 a month more than what I'm getting on Social Security disability. And she says, and since I can't find a job for $22 an hour, I'm going to stay on Social Security disability.
Yep.
And I've heard that time and time again. I mean, I had a guy who works for FedEx in the shop, and it was exactly the same thing. He's in there, and he goes, "Yeah, we held a job fair. This guy comes in. We offer him a job. I don't know what they offered him. Since it was FedEx, I'm guessing $13 an hour, $13.50, something like that." And he gets a calculator out and he starts running numbers, and he goes, "I'm sorry, but I can't work for you." Mm-hmm. And he goes, "What do you mean you can't work for me? We're going to give you a job. I thought you're here for a job." You don't understand. With my rent assistance, my food stamps, my insurance for me and the kids are paid, the dental is paid, all the free benefits I get. I can't start to work for you, and because I'm going to have less money than what I have if I do. So the government has made it so simple and gives them so much money that they don't go out and look for jobs and don't want jobs because it's easier to sit on their butt, excuse my French, and do nothing and draw our money. And then and it's not just me. You got a lot of people out there making way more money than I make, paying huge taxes too. And, and it's a proven fact. And this happened to the state of New York. And New York says, okay, we're going to raise taxes. We're going to raise taxes on the wealthy.
Sure.
We always talk about pay your fair share.
Oh, sure. You got to pay your fair share.
And so they figured by raising taxes on the wealthy, just the wealthy portion of the people above, say, $250,000, they were going to raise like $100 million more in taxes.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they did their taxes at the end of the year, they were $100 million short because all the people that had money moved to Florida where the tax structure was different, and they moved. The state of Illinois tried that to raise taxes on businesses and stuff. What happened? They moved across the river to Indiana and rented old buildings over there and moved their business and started over. So raising taxes, I'm sorry, is not the answer because, unless you raise the taxes at the same level, every state charges exactly the same, people are going to figure out how to save money on their taxes. And the process of adding money for taxes doesn't work.
It's crazy how we actually want to, keep our own money and actually try and not pay the crazy high amount of taxes. You're absolutely right. Phil Martinez of Phil's Coins, as it shows the prime example of, and I tried to set the example last hour of starting a business and the expenses that come out and what you have to do to compensate for that and be able to sell enough product to get an actual bit of a revenue to be able to stay in business. And the government makes that more and more and more difficult every single year, whether you're talking about a lemonade stand for a child on the side of the street or whether it's a business where you have, 5 locations throughout town and you're trying to actually just maintain. The government doesn't help you in any of the situations.
Well, you're absolutely right. I mean, when we started our business, I was working lots and lots of overtime. I took my overtime money to buy my inventory to get started. I opened a business in September of 2000. I drew my first paycheck out of the business because I was working at Cessna, working at nights and running my shop during the day, putting in 100 hours a week, and the shop didn't have any money. And I thought we were doing pretty good. And I probably didn't draw any money out of the shop for probably 3.5 years. I have people coming to me going, they come in, they see people handing me money, and I go, man, this is cool. I need to do this. I'll sell you the inventory to help you get started, and I'll sell it to you. I'll sell it to you at a better price than what you'd pay for it yourself to get you started.
Sure.
Just to get you started, but at the same time, you don't realize you can't do it because if you're not willing to work 2 to 3 years and not take any money out of the shop. Luckily, my wife was working, and I had a shop if the shop paid the bills, I mean, where we didn't have to take any money out of our pocket. I can remember putting in a security system, and instead of putting in a nice security system, I put in something that you'd put in your house because that was the only thing I could afford.
Sure.
I mean, the cost of starting a business is astronomical, and you got to put down deposits, you got to have rent, you got to sign leases. I mean, the list just goes on and on and on. You got to buy inventory. I mean,
it's crazy.
It really is crazy. And for somebody that wants to start a business, I mean, I see a lot of businesses open it up, and 6 months later they're broke. Well, they didn't realize, that all this money keeps going out. Advertising. I'm sorry, you guys sell advertising. I pay you advertising. But the cost of advertising is ridiculous. I used to have an ad in in the Yellow Pages. And I told somebody, one guy was wanting a deal one time, and I said, well, if you'll just pay my advertising for 1 month, I will sell you all the coins you want to buy all year at what I paid for them. I will make nothing on them.
Sure.
And he goes, so what are you talking about? And I said, well, just pay my Yellow Pages ad. And he goes, how much is that? And I said, $1,700. And he goes, $1,700 a year? He said, man, I couldn't buy enough coins to justify that. And I said, no, it was $1,700 a month.
Wow.
I mean, so you don't realize you're talking $25,000 for a Yellow Page ad. So I didn't
realize that was that expensive.
Oh yes. A business phone. If you got a house phone, it's probably $80 a month. If you've got a business phone, it's $250 a month, and then if you've got a sideline on that, like for a fax machine or something, I think we pay $550 for our phone lines. I mean, it's the cost of doing a business because you're a business. Everything costs you more. Your phone lines cost you more. I don't know.
Oh, come on, you're the rich and elite, and you can afford it, right? Yeah, you just need to pay your fair share.
I can tell you this much: when I retire. Pay attention, IRS. When I retire, I'm going to go out and mow yards for cash. I will make more money mowing yards and work less hours than I do working in my own coin shop running my own business.
There you go. Something to think about right there. 316-721-8255. Let's take a break. 18 minutes past the hour. When we come back, I want to talk about the market right now. What's it looking like? Gold, silver, all that jazz, how things are going there. Also, some events that are coming up that we can get involved with that you can have a little fun with and go and see some of the great collection of the different coins and the specialty items that are in the area. So we'll talk about all that and more. Lots to get to. This is The Voice of Reason here on KQAM. Stay tuned.
This is The Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier on the Big Talker, KQAM.
24 minutes past the hour. What up? Welcome back into The Voice of Reason. It is a Thursday. The pre-Friday celebration rolls along, waking you up better than a cup of coffee, a shot of espresso, even an energy drink. Yeah, that's right, baby. That's the way we are. We get you.
Pumped up, yeah. You want to be like Arnold Schwarzenegger.
I mean, you feel excited about talk radio in the morning, right? I mean, that's just what pumps you up. That gets you so excited in the morning.
I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what we try and do here. 316-721-8255. Phil Martinez of Phil's Coins, 9344 West Central Avenue in studio with us here for a bit. And we haven't even gotten to it yet, but how are the markets looking right now? It's funny, for the last, 6 months or so, when you come in, you've been talking about how silver has been still at an insanely low rate. Gold's been kind of hanging out, but really not a whole lot of drastic movement on either one of them. No. And still, it's been more of a selling market than it has been a buying market when it comes to these products.
It's still that way.
Still that way.
I mean, I ship gold out to the wholesalers because I'm buying gold faster than I can sell it. I'm selling gold. I'm selling gold in the shop at what it would cost me to buy it wholesale.
Wow.
Just to encourage people to buy gold and give them a discount. And I don't know, we didn't ship very much yesterday, but I've got some more I'll probably ship today. And I can't get below I keep 7,000 ounces of silver in stock. That's my everyday stock.
Sure.
And I'm still and I cannot, I don't care how much of it I sell, how much of it I discount, I cannot get it down below 500 ounces overstock. I mean, about the time I sell a couple hundred ounces and I go, hey, or I
moving in the right direction.
Ship some to Oklahoma or something and go, hey, I'm okay, that's good. And I look and I do inventory and I go, man, I'm still 500 ounces over. I mean, I can't, and I bought some yesterday. I'm probably 600 ounces heavy today.
Wow.
So, matter of fact, one of my employees goes, you're still way overstocked, aren't you? So we negotiated a deal. I got rid of some yesterday, but
good,
man. I mean, but it's still
just moving it out the door.
Yeah,
or at least trying to,
That's right.
Wild.
But it's crazy that you can buy it faster than you can sell it. I mean, all the big guys that are in the business are all telling everybody that silver is a buy of the century right now at these numbers. I mean, we're talking like about 1650 roughly, which was up from the low 16s. I thought it was going to get into the 15s.
Sure.
So silver's a beast. It's a bargain right now. Gold's just setting just a little over 1,300. So, and technically that's too cheap. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was 4 years ago that gold was setting at $1,900. I mean, and I bought some the other day that somebody probably bought in that $1,500, $1,600, $1,700 range, because I looked at what I paid for the coins that I sold them, and then I bought them back. And the guy says, you know how much money I'm losing? And I said, yeah, I know. But I said, why are you selling? Because something's come up and I really need the money. And I said, I understand that. But I said, let me tell you this. When you had the money, if you had not bought the silver and the gold, now that you need the money, you'd have nothing to sell.
Right.
And he looks at me and goes, you're absolutely right. Because we can all, I'm sorry, it's just like me. If I have extra money, my wife and I might go out and eat twice in a week, which is kind of unusual for us. But if we out twice, you don't realize just my wife and I is $25 to $35. So that's $70 a week. That's $200. So $70, $280 a month. Mm-hmm. So you call it $300. That's $3,600 that you can blow in a year just eating out once or twice a week more than you would normally eat out. And so if you've got extra money, you blow the money on something. If you buy silver and gold and you put it back, it's there and you kind of forget you got it. And then when something comes up that you really need the money,
sure,
whether you make money or lose money, all of a sudden you come in here and sell me $3,000 worth of silver or whatever, and that $3,000 bailed you out, because if you hadn't bought silver or gold, you'd have pooped it off on something else.
Sure.
Because the people are not savers. They do not put it in the bank and just leave it there.
Yeah.
I've seen that like 4 times in the last 3 weeks.
Wow, that's wild. We got about a minute before the bottom of the hour, but other than the junk silver that you saved, just kind of the coins and that normal stuff, what's kind of the popular item that is going out the door? Is it like the silver rounds? Is it just something basic?
Yeah, we always sell silver rounds. Silver rounds is a staple. We sell lots and lots of silver rounds. Like I say, we sell a lot of silver rounds.
Because I like those. I still got to go get some more.
Yeah,
I haven't done that in a while.
We've got some backdate eagles that we've been discounting, selling them. If you bought 500, you couldn't buy them at what I'm selling them by the roll for. So I mean, it saves you about a buck and a half a piece,
sure,
on them. So we have those, and I've got a few maple leafs right now too. So
that's right.
But we're still buying it faster than we can sell it, and trying to keep one inventory over here, the surplus inventory over here is almost a pain. But I'm trying to keep. In other words, I can go over and open one safe and look in there and go, okay, I've got 500 ounces. And next thing I go, well, I'm down to 400 ounces. And, oh, well, how about 700 ounces? So, but otherwise, you got to do inventory every day.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's true.
But I do inventory about once a week at least.
What's coming in when people are wanting to sell back? Is it the same thing, silver rounds that are coming in just as quick
Lots
as going
of silver
out?
rounds coming in, yes. That's a big seller going out, so that's the biggest thing coming back in.
Back in.
Yep.
Very interesting. Let's take a bottom of the hour break. I want to keep you on one more segment. Usually we wrap up about now, but there's an event coming up we need to talk about. I think it'd be a lot of fun, so we're going to hang tight. One more segment, your thoughts and calls as well, 721-8255 if you want to chime in here. Some fun stuff happening. It is summertime. Not only is the Black Kettle Festival starting this weekend, not only is Riverfest happening, not only is there a Second Amendment rally this weekend as well, but there's going to be some good stuff happening in just a few weeks. Lots more coming up. This is The Voice of Reason.
Keeping Republicans and Democrats accountable. This is The Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
Making it happen today on a Thursday as we're wrapping up the show today. Welcome aboard 316-721-8255 on the Conservative Express, baby. That's what we're on here. Trucking along, advancing conservatism on a daily basis. You remember back in the day, the whole expansion out west and the railroads. And, I mean, you remember, you read the old Western stories, Phil, the expansion out west and everybody's building the railroads. That's what we're doing. We are tricking our own land. We are building our own railroad, and we are on the Conservative Express rolling through town, baby.
It's good.
Shaking it up.
Yep.
That's what I'm saying. I'm sticking to it. 316-721-8255. One more segment here with Phil Martinez. Phil's going to 9344 West Central Avenue. You guys are going to be opened up in just a little bit here at 9:30, and we'll get you plenty of time to get up there and get everything ready to go so you can go and buy or sell or trade your silver and gold. And I think the theme song we need to start playing when you come in is that from Rudolph, that silver and gold. I think that's what we need to start playing.
Oh, yeah, that's just what we need.
That's just what we need, right? Yeah.
That's as bad as your headbanger music that you're listening to when
now
I come
we're talking.
in here.
Now, I can turn it into a metal version.
There
Don't
you
get me
go.
wrong. I'll get ready for that. Tell me about, I'm really excited. You guys are having, which I've always wanted to go to one of these shows. I've never been to one before. But first off, let's start off and backtrack a little bit. The Kansas Numismatic Association.
Right.
What is that?
It's a group of coin dealers. We're like any other organization. We have our own organization.
Mm-hmm.
We have 100 and some people that belong to the KNA. But we're numismatics people, so therefore it's a Kansas Numismatic Association. I've been on the board of directors for probably 20, 25 years. Been president, vice president numerous times. I'm vice president right now. And we have this show coming to Wichita. And so we're going to have dealers in from Colorado, Nebraska, Missouri, Oklahoma, Texas. I mean, some of these people travel quite a ways to do the show. It's probably the largest coin show in the state of Kansas.
Mm-hmm.
We will also have stamps and postcards. So it's kind of a hobbyist type holiday. You can come out. It's free to the public. It's going to be June 15th and 16th, which is a Friday and Saturday.
Okay.
We've never done this before. So usually the shows are always Saturday and Sunday.
Sure.
And Sunday afternoon, you can hear the crickets chirp in the back. So we're trying something new, a Friday, Saturday show.
Okay.
And so it's going to be at the Cessna Activity Center. And the doors open on Friday from at noon. And be noon to 7. It's free to the public. Come out and browse, bring your kids, walk around. There'll be some door prizes. You don't have to spend anything. If you've got something you want to know what it's worth, you can bring it to the show. There'll be numerous dealers out there. And matter of fact, the top 3 largest dealers in the state of Kansas will be there.
Very good.
So,
now what can we see out there? We're going to obviously be able to see coins, but stamps as well.
Yes. There'll be multiple stamp dealers there.
Do you sell stamps?
No.
You don't?
I have a guy that does stamps through the shop. So, we probably send 2-3 people a day that calls us or comes in with stamps. And if the stamps have a value or we think there's some kind of value, I try to give them some idea what they have. And then they talk to Chris, and Chris, we give him a telephone number. They call him. He deals with them. Had a guy come in the other day, and he didn't think his stuff was worth anything. And I kind of said, that's kind of what you really got. And he said, so what can I do with them? Just throw them away? And I said, no. And he left them with me, and I donate all this stuff to the children's division of the Cessna Stamp Club. Cessna Stamp Club has a children's division. And so we put them in the back room, and then and I don't know what Bob's last name is, but Bob comes in about every 90 days.
Okay.
He just comes in and sits down. I go in the back, and anything that we've got that people have donated, we put in the corner.
Sure.
We bring it out. I give it to him. If they want recognition, we just get a first name and a telephone number, or name and a telephone number. He looks them up on the computer, sends them a letter, and thanks them for their donation. Like I tell them, sometimes it'll be 90 days, and some people go, they don't care whether they get any recognition or not. It's just the fact that it goes to the kids.
Sure.
And so sometimes I've got 1-2 apple boxes full. Sometimes, and sometimes, I think only once have I not had anything, but usually always somebody brings stuff out to the shop, and it's not worth anything. And I always tell them, if you don't want it, rather than throw it away and put it in the landfill, there are kids out there that truly would enjoy this. And it's just, I didn't think it was such a big deal till I donated some, they call them tongs.
Sure.
You and I would call them tweezers. But they've turned their stamps with them and stuff. And you don't touch stamps. You handle them with tweezers. And
did not know that.
So I had a bunch of them. I bought a box with 97 pairs of that are something probably in the $2 to $3 range. They were inexpensive. I donated them to the kids.
Sure.
Little boy comes up, and I don't cry on this one no more. I used to, but just tear me up. But he come up there and he goes, Mr. Martinez, I'd like to thank you for the tongs. And I said, you don't need to thank me. You need to thank Bob.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, no, Bob said, come thank you because you donated them. And I said, okay. And he looked at me and he goes, you don't understand. He said, I know these are inexpensive tongs. They're probably $2-3. And I said, yeah, they're not expensive tongs. And he goes, yeah, well, it's just me and Mom. Wow. And I don't have a dad, and it's just me and Mom, and my mom don't have the money to buy me a $2 pair of tongs.
Sure.
And so I really appreciate this. And I thought, man, you don't realize how many kids out there are in that situation. And a little later, another little boy walks up, tells me the same story. So I'm accusing Bob of having to memorize this sob story about no dads and mom and dad. But I was talking to Bob, and he said, there's at least 4 to 5 kids that he picks up, goes and drives and picks up personally and takes them to club because the parents don't have enough money for gas to drive them to the club.
Sure.
And so these donations to these kids, to you or me, is nothing, but to these kids, it's the world.
Wow.
And I didn't realize what a need there was for stuff like this. But so Bob does a great service to the community to help these kids.
How cool. I had no idea. And I didn't realize that you didn't pick up stamps with your fingers. You didn't actually touch them. I don't know anything about stamping. For the little I know about actual gold and silver, I know even less about stamps.
Yeah,
so I'm learning on that one as well.
Yeah.
My grandfather actually had a whole book of stamps that he used to collect too. I don't know if he still has it or not, but that's really fascinating. So with this show, you're going to be able to see the coins. You're going to be able to see the stamps. People from all around, all the surrounding neighboring states going to come out here. How many vendors are you going to have for this?
Right now, I think we're going to have there's like 30 tables, or 30 or 40 tables already been sold, and we haven't heard back from the stamp people. So we're probably hoping to have, I'm going to say 45 to 50 tables.
Sure. How fun. Now, what kind of coins could we expect here? Is it going to be some pretty fancy coins? Is it going to be some generic ones? What do you guys got?
I think there's a large dealer from out of town that will be there, and he's got they call it a brownback, so it's kind of unusual because we have Governor Brownback. There's a brownback note that he's got that I think he's going to bring that'll be there to show. It's worth $20,000.
Right.
I've got a gold coin I'll have in my case, more to show than to sell. It's probably one of 10 in the grade that it is by all the top graders in the United States, so it's probably one of 10 known to exist in this grade.
Okay.
And but you'll be able to see anything from wheat pennies to buffalo nickels to mercury dimes, quarters,
wheat,
halves, dollars,
wheat
paper
pennies?
money. Yeah, wheat pennies.
Like made out of wheat?
No. They have wheat ears on the back. Anything from 09 to 58 have wheat ears on the back, and then after that they changed the design where it's got the memorial building on the back.
How fun! Okay,
and so just the other day some lady was in there going,
you never know, it could be made out of wheat. I mean,
But somebody was sitting there going, well, these are pretty rare, aren't they? And I said, not really. And she goes, what are they worth? And I said, we buy them for 2 cents and basically sell them for about 4. And she goes, really? And she goes, how many do you have? And I stuck my head around the corner and I said, well, right now I've only got 50,000 sitting on the floor in 5,000 count bags. And we'll accumulate them until we get somewhere around 50. Usually about 60,000 is the number we're working for. So when we hit 60,000, we have a sale and we'll sell 60,000 wheat pennies in a week.
How fun.
We ship them all over the United States.
Very cool. When is this event again?
Now this will be June 15th. And 16th at the Cessna Activity Center.
Very good.
Friday 12 to 7 and Saturday 9 to 5.
9 to 5.
Free to the public. Bring the kids. And,
just come on in.
Come on in. Walk around. There's a concession stand. You want to get a Coke and walk around or stuff. There'll be a lot of just people just come see. People come in there and they'll pull a coin out and they're looking around and going, well, there's my coin. It's worth $200. And I go, your coin don't look like that coin.
Exactly.
So we're always have to be the bad guy here, but it's free to the public and there's free parking, so you just come and walk in, and it'll be at the Cessna Activity Center at 2744 George Washington Boulevard, and come and have a good time. Now,
do you have a Pride and Joy coin that you're going to show on display out there and say, yeah, look at that bad boy?
Oh, I've got one, probably the one that's worth about, according to the book, it's $19,000-$20,000 coin.
Wow.
But I mean, most of my stuff is under $500.
Sure.
But the three biggest, there's going to, if you want to come out there and spend $5,000 on a coin, I guarantee you somebody will be able to accommodate you somewhere in that.
That's right.
In that show. But at the same time, technically, probably if you look at the coins that I sell at a show like that, most of my coins are probably that I sell. Most of it are probably in that $50 to $100 range.
Okay,
something nice enough to still look in a book and look nice. And but there again, we have I've got a tub there of stuff that's marked at wholesale minus 20%. They'll be but there's a lot of good reputable dealers there, and they'll be coming in from, like, say, Texas, Oklahoma, Nebraska. I know we got some coming in from Colorado, and probably some from Missouri. So it's a good show. It's a fun time. You want to spend some money, look at some coins, compare prices. That's up to you. And if you just want to come in and walk around and look, I always tell my people, and it's funny, but I always tell my people, if you're going to come to the show and you're going to buy coins, bring cash only.
Mm-hmm.
Most of them don't do credit cards, so it's either check or cash. But I tell them bring cash only.
Sure.
Bring the cash you can afford to spend. Leave the credit cards and the checkbook at home.
There you go.
And then that way you're only going to spend what you bring. Mm-hmm. Because if not,
you always see that one thing. You're like, oh, why not? Yeah.
Well, people come into my shop and I don't have all my good coins out there. I keep those in the safe in a box, so people ask for them. And all of a sudden you're looking at stuff and they walk out there and here's Phil's coins 20 times over. And it's, oh my God, it's like a kid in a candy shop that's never had a piece of candy before. And somebody new collectors go out there, and I'm sorry, but they always overspend. Mm-hmm. So I tell them, just take what you can afford to spend, no more.
Capping yourself off right there.
And I shouldn't tell you that, but
hey,
I don't want you buying stuff and spending money that when you start spending money that takes away from the family, that's wrong.
Exactly.
If the family can afford it and you want it, that's fine. But when you start affecting your kids, whether they can go to school or you don't
need
your
your college fund.
Yeah, I just spent your college fund on this coin. Maybe we'll make it back. Yeah. So anyway, it's a good time to be had for all.
Very good. Phil Martinez, Phil's Coins, 9344 West Central Avenue. The event's going to come up. We'll talk to you again before that happens as well, and remind individuals about that one. It should be a fun event. And as you mentioned, free, just go in and walk around and check it all out and enjoy some fun coins. Phil, always a pleasure to talk to you, my friend. It's always a good time.
Enjoy.
Always great.
Let's take care, be safe, be blessed.
You as well. By the way, real quick, have a happy Memorial Day, all that good jazz. Enjoy that. Fantastic. Love it. That's what we're about.
God bless all of you.
There we go. Got to take a break. 12 minutes to the top of the hour. Your phone calls when we come back. Got some calls waiting on here. We'll take you as soon as we get back here. This is The Voice of Reason.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
Welcome back into The Voice of Reason, wrapping up the program today. Just a few minutes left. Appreciate you hanging out with us today. We love it. We appreciate it very much so. Listener on Facebook Live, can Phil define one more time what a silver round is? Good question. I should have caught that before he left. Now, that's what I get because it's really cool. I dig them. I enjoy it. It's literally just a round of 1 ounce. It's exactly 1 ounce. So, if silver $16.30 or whatever it is right now, then with his markup for, an actual profit a little bit. When I used to go in there and get it, which I haven't done in a few months, I need to do, but it's literally like you go in and it was $20 for me, $20, bam, right there. You get a silver round. And yeah, I got a few of them. I mean, not a whole lot, but it's a great way if you're just starting your silver stuff and you want to actually get a little bit, then that's a way to do it. It's not expensive. You get an ounce of silver for $20, and then you start stocking those up. You get a few of those, and heck yeah, you've already started your collection of silver. It's not like one of those specialty, very rare special things that's $20,000 or anything. It's literally just a way for individuals like myself who do not have lots of cash to be able to spend everywhere, to be able to go and just invest in yourself a little bit with a $20 silver round. So kind of cool. Let's go to the phones as we wrap up the show today. What do you say? 316-721-8255 at line number 1. Good morning. What's your name?
Hi, Andy. This is Helen.
Helen, how are you?
I'm doing just great.
Good.
Well, I was wanting to ask Phil if he's ever come across one of those rare copper pennies that is a 1943 copper penny, which is very rare, and I've heard that those things are worth around $1,700,000.
Wow. That is a really good question. Next time he is in, which we'll get him back in a couple of weeks to promote his event coming up on the 15th and 16th again for the Coin and Stamp Show. That is a really good question. I will have to ask him if he's ever run across that one, because that would be really cool if he did. That'd be fun.
Yes, ask him that, and if you ever come across one, you better keep it.
Better hang on to that one for sure. Absolutely. I love that. Helen, I appreciate it very much. That's a good question. I'll ask him about that. Some of those can get up there. Holy cow. By the way, I want to remind you, as we talk about events and things that are going on this Saturday, if you're in the Wichita area, you're going to want to swing by here. I know a lot of people were not able to get up to the Second Amendment rally in Topeka about a month or so ago that I got to MC for the Kansas State Rifle Association, the NRA. But there is a Second Amendment rally coming up this Saturday, along with the Black Kettle Festival going on and Riverfest and everything else going on. 510 North Main Street, downtown Wichita, 510 North Main Street. It's from 3 to 5 in the afternoon on Saturday. I will be speaking there along with some other great speakers, some candidates for different positions. It's at least one of the Secretary of State candidates, Keith Esau, has confirmed, I guess, that he's going to be there. State Representative John Whitmer will be speaking there from what I've heard, along with potentially Lieutenant Governor Tracy Mann and Wink Hartman with the Chris Kobach campaign. They will, from what I've heard, has been the list of potential speakers that are going to be at this rally. So it's going to be on Saturday from 3 to 5 p.m., at 510 North Main Street, and yours truly will be speaking at the event along with so many other great individuals for a Second Amendment We the People Support the Second Amendment rally on Saturday, June 2nd from 3 to 5 o'clock at 510 North Main Street. Come out, check it out. I'll remind you again tomorrow, but it'll be a lot of fun. It's going to be a beautiful day, and I'm really looking forward to getting out there and supporting again the Second Amendment. So we'll have some fun with that. So if you weren't able to make it up to the last one, you still want to support the Second Amendment, still want to show your rallying support. I mean, I know it's really hard for us to, get off work and do things. So now it's the weekend. Now's your opportunity to do shows. You're out and about, you're visiting, you're maybe seeing Riverfest, you're going up to Mound Ridge to see the Black Kettle Festival and the car show. Swing by Saturday afternoon, go to the Second Amendment rally, and let's have some fun. What do you say? Supporting the guns, as I'm sure, and I really hope to do see some protesters out there as well, which means I get to have fun poking fun at them, which is what I like to do as we go out there. So check it out. We the People Support the Second Amendment. It's the rally Saturday, 3 to 5 o'clock, 510 North Main Street. I'll be speaking along with some other great speakers. We'll remind you again tomorrow about that one. As always, We appreciate you hanging out with us, swinging by, tuning in, dialing in with us on the show here. This is your show. This is The Voice of Reason, everybody. Have a great Thursday.